There are places in the universe so extreme that human language struggles to describe them. Neutron stars. Quasars.supermassive. Galaxies colliding at millions of kilometers per hour. Yet even among these cosmic giants, there exists an object that stands apart from almost everything we have ever discovered. A black hole so large that it makes other supermassive black holes look small. A gravitational monster so enormous that if it suddenly appeared where our sun sits today, the entire solar system would disappear inside it. Not Earth, not the planets. The entire solar system. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, every moon. Every asteroid. Every comet. Gone. Swallowed by darkness. Its name is Ton 618, and it may be the closest thing the universe has to a bottomless abyss. Most people hear the words black hole and imagine a giant vacuum cleaner, a cosmic monster pulling everything toward itself. That image is wrong. Black holes are stranger than that. Far stranger. A black hole is not a hole in space. It is a region where gravity has become so powerful that nothing can escape. Not spacecraft. Not planets. Not stars. Not even light itself. Once something crosses the event horizon, the point of no return, every possible future leads deeper inward. There is no turning back. No escape route. No second chance. The universe simply stops offering exits. And Ton 618 is one of the largest examples we have ever found. The numbers involved are almost absurd. Its estimated mass exceeds 60 billion suns. Think about that for a moment. The sun contains about 333,000 times the mass of Earth. Now multiply the sun 60 billion times. The resulting number becomes so large that human intuition completely breaks down. Even astronomers struggle to visualize it because Ton 618 is not merely bigger than our solar system. It belongs to an entirely different category of existence, a different scale of reality, a different level of cosmic architecture. And yet what makes Ton 618 truly terrifying is not its mass. It is its size. The event horizon alone stretches across a distance measured in hundreds of billions of kilometers. Light itself needs days just to travel from one side of the event horizon to the other. Think about how incredible that is. Light moves at nearly 300,000 kilometers per second. Nothing travels faster. Yet even light requires days to cross the darkness surrounding this object. That darkness is larger than many entire planetary systems, and somewhere inside it lies a singularity, or at least something our current theories call a singularity, a place where known physics completely breaks down, a place where Einstein's equations stop making sense. A place where humanity's understanding of reality simply ends. The discovery of Ton 618 began long before anyone realized what it truly was. In the 1950s and 1960s, astronomers started finding mysterious objects called Quasars. At first, nobody knew what they were. They looked like stars through telescopes. Tiny points of light, but something was wrong. They were unbelievably bright, far brighter than ordinary stars, far brighter than entire galaxies should have been. Some quasars emitted more energy than trillions of suns combined. The numbers seemed impossible. How could something so small produce so much power? The answer eventually changed astronomy forever. At the center of every quasar sits a supermassive black hole. Matter falls inward. Gas spirals around the black hole at incredible speeds. Friction heats that gas to millions of degrees. Radiation erupts outward across the universe. The black hole itself remains dark, but everything surrounding it glows like a cosmic furnace. Ton 618 turned out to be one of the brightest quasars ever observed. And there was only one explanation. The engine powering it had to be enormous. Absolutely enormous. As measurements improved, astronomers realized they were looking at something extraordinary. Not merely another supermassive black hole, one of the largest ever discovered. A monster already ancient when Earth was young. a monster that has spent billions of years consuming matter and growing larger. Every gas cloud drifting to close, every unfortunate star wandering into its reach, every fragment of matter captured by its gravity. All of it added to the mass. All of it vanished forever beyond the event horizon, and even after billions of years, the monster continues feeding, continues growing, continues reshaping the region around it. But here is the truly unsettling part. TON 618 is not unique because it is dangerous. Every black hole is dangerous. TON 618 is unique because it forces us to ask a terrifying question. What happens when gravity becomes this extreme? Most people imagine falling into a black hole as an instant death sentence, a quick end, a moment of destruction. Reality is much stranger, especially for a black hole this large, because if you approached a smaller black hole, you would be torn apart long before reaching the event horizon. The tidal forces would stretch your body like spaghetti. Physicists actually have a name for this. Spaghetti, FICATION. Your feet would feel a stronger pull than your head. The difference would become catastrophic. Cells would separate, atoms would separate. Eventually nothing recognizable would remain, but TON 618 changes the rules. Its event horizon is so enormous that the gravitational gradient near the boundary is surprisingly gentle. You would not necessarily be torn apart at the event horizon. In fact, you might cross it without immediately noticing anything unusual. And that is where the nightmare truly begins, because crossing the event horizon would not be the end of the journey. It would only be the beginning. The largest black hole in the universe does not kill you immediately. It invites you deeper into a region where time behaves differently, where space itself becomes distorted. Where every path leads inward, and where the laws governing reality slowly begin to unravel. Long before you ever reach that point, however, you would encounter something even more spectacular, a structure so bright that it can outshine entire galaxies. A raging ocean of superheated matter circling the abyss, a ring of fire visible across billions of light years. The accretion disk, and before you can fall into the largest black hole in the universe, you must first survive that. Before you ever reach the event horizon of TON 618, you would encounter something almost impossible to describe, a structure so bright that it can outshine entire galaxies, a structure so energetic that it produces more light than trillions of stars combined, a structure so violent that no human being could survive even approaching it. The accretion disk. Most people imagine black holes as dark objects floating alone in space. Reality is rarely that simple, especially for a monster like TON 618. Black holes do not spend their lives quietly waiting for victims. They actively feed. Gas clouds drift too close, stars wander into dangerous territory, entire solar systems can be disrupted, matter falls inward, and before that matter disappears forever, it forms one of the most extreme environments in the universe. Imagine water circling a drain. As the water gets closer, it spins faster. The same thing happens around a black hole, except instead of water, we are talking about entire clouds of gas instead of a kitchen sink. We are talking about an object with 60 billion times the mass of the sun. And instead of ordinary motion, we are talking about matter approaching the speed of light. The result is extraordinary. The gas begins colliding with itself. Friction increases. Temperatures rise millions of degrees. Then tens of millions. Then hundreds of millions. The matter becomes plasma. Atoms are ripped apart. Electrons separate from nuclei. Nothing remains in its normal state. It becomes a glowing inferno, orbiting the darkness. This is the accretion disk. And around TON 618, the accretion disk is enormous. Absolutely enormous. If you could somehow see it from a safe distance, it would appear like a gigantic ring of fire, surrounding a perfect black circle, the darkness. In the middle would be the event horizon, the glowing material. Around it would be hotter than most stars, brighter than most galaxies, more energetic than almost anything else in existence. In fact, the light produced by Ton 618's quasar is so intense that astronomers can detect it across billions of light-years of space. Think about that. The light reaching our telescopes today began its journey billions of years ago, before Earth looked the way it does now. Before modern humans existed, before many of the animals we know today evolved. That light has been crossing the universe for ages, and it is still bright enough for us to see. That is how powerful Ton 618 truly is. Now imagine approaching it. At first, everything might seem surprisingly calm. The black hole would still appear distant. The accretion disk would resemble a bright ring suspended in darkness. Beautiful. Almost peaceful, but appearances would be deceptive. As your spacecraft moved closer, the radiation environment would become increasingly deadly. High-energy photons would bombard the hull. X-rays. Gamma rays, ultraviolet radiation, particle streams moving at incredible speeds. Every second, the surrounding environment would become more hostile. If you were inside a normal spacecraft, you would already be dead. The radiation alone would destroy every living cell in your body. Your DNA would be shredded. Your nervous system would fail. Death would come long before the black hole itself became a threat. So, for the sake of this journey, let us imagine an indestructible spacecraft, a vessel capable of surviving anything. Only then can we continue. As you move deeper into the accretion disk, the universe would begin looking strange, very strange, because gravity is no longer acting like the gravity you experience on Earth. Near Ton 618, gravity becomes a sculptor of reality itself. Light no longer travels in straight lines. Stars behind the black hole appear distorted. Galaxies stretch into arcs. Space bends. The entire universe begins warping around the monster. Ahead of you, the black hole appears larger with every passing moment, but it is not simply growing. It is changing shape. The powerful gravity bends light around the event horizon, creating a phenomenon called gravitational lensing. You would begin seeing parts of the universe that should be hidden behind the black hole. Light from distant stars wraps around the darkness. Images overlap. The sky becomes distorted into impossible patterns. It would feel as though reality itself were folding. The closer you get, the stranger it becomes. Eventually, the black hole stops looking like a simple dark sphere. Instead, it appears as a gigantic hole cut into existence, a region where the normal rules of vision no longer apply, a place where space itself seems to curve inward, and all the while, the accretion disk continues blazing around you. Matter races through the disk at relativistic speeds. Some regions move at significant fractions of the speed of light. One side appears brighter than the other because of a phenomenon called relativistic beaming. Material moving toward you looks brighter. Material moving away looks dimmer. The disk itself appears asymmetric. Alive. Dynamic. Violent. This is no ordinary astronomical object. This is a cosmic machine, operating at the limits of physics. A machine powered by gravity itself. Yet despite all this violence, despite all this radiation, despite all this energy, the true danger still lies ahead, because the accretion disk is merely the outer kingdom of Ton 618. The real monster waits deeper inside. Far beyond the glowing plasma. Far beyond the radiation storms. Far beyond the brilliant quasar light. At the center lies the event horizon. The point of no return. And as your spacecraft continues falling inward, something unexpected begins to happen. Not to your body. Not to your ship. To time itself, because near Ton 618, time no longer flows the way it does on Earth. Seconds begin separating from seconds. Minutes begin stretching. The future itself begins changing shape, and the closer you get to the largest black hole in the universe, the more reality starts behaving like something from a dream or a nightmare, because gravity is about to do something that seems impossible. It is about to slow time itself. As your spacecraft continues falling toward ton 618, something remarkable begins to happen. At first, you don't notice it. The engines remain silent, the instruments appear normal, the stars still shine in the distance, nothing feels different, yet reality itself is already changing around you. Because near a black hole, gravity does more than pull objects. It bends space. It bends light, and perhaps most strangely of all, it bends time. Most people think of time as constant, a universal clock ticking at the same rate everywhere. Second after second, minute after minute. Year after year. It certainly feels that way on Earth. But Einstein revealed something astonishing over a century ago. Time is not absolute. Time is flexible. Gravity can stretch it. Slow it, distort it. The stronger the gravitational field, the slower time passes. This effect is called gravitational time dilation. And near ton 618, it becomes extreme. Imagine two identical clocks, one remains safely on Earth. The other travels with you toward the black hole. At first, the difference is tiny. Microsecond milliseconds. Nothing noticeable, but as you continue descending, the gap begins growing. The clock on Earth moves faster. Your clock moves slower. Not because either clock is malfunctioning. Both are working perfectly. The universe itself is causing the difference. To the people back on Earth, your movements would gradually appear slower. Your gestures would seem delayed. Your voice would deepen and stretch. Every signal sent from your spacecraft would take longer to arrive. Time around you would appear increasingly sluggish. Yet, from your perspective, nothing feels unusual. Your heartbeat remains normal. Your thoughts occur at their usual speed. Your breathing remains unchanged. That is what makes relativity so strange. You never feel time slowing because everything around you slows together. Your body. Your brain. Your spacecraft. Your instruments. Everything remains synchronized. The change only becomes obvious when comparing your clock to clocks elsewhere in the universe, and the deeper you fall, the more dramatic the difference becomes. Hours for you might correspond 2 days outside, then weeks. Then months, then years. Eventually centuries. Imagine looking out the window and watching distant stars evolve faster than they should, civilizations rising and falling. History accelerating. Entire generations passing while you experience only a fraction of that time. Near ton 618, such things are not impossible. They're consequences of gravity. And ton 618 possesses gravity on a scale almost beyond imagination. The closer you approach the event horizon, the stranger the outside universe becomes. The stars ahead of you begin shifting position. Light bends more dramatically. Entire sections of the sky appear distorted. The black hole's immense gravity transforms space into a giant lens. Light from distant galaxies wraps around the darkness. You begin seeing multiple images of the same objects. Some stars appear duplicated, others form glowing arcs. The sky itself starts looking impossible. As though reality has been reflected through a cosmic funhouse mirror. Yet this is only the visual effect. The temporal effect is even stranger. Because eventually, if you could somehow observe Earth through an impossibly powerful telescope, you would witness something extraordinary. Time there would appear accelerated. The planet would spin faster. Clouds would move rapidly. Years would flash by. Cities would grow. Change. Disappear. Human history itself could unfold before your eyes. Not because Earth is speeding up, because you are slowing down. This is one of the most disturbing consequences of relativity. The future arrives faster for everyone else than it does for you. You are effectively traveling forward through time, not through technology. Not through a machine, through gravity. And the closer you move toward ton 618, the more extreme the effect becomes. Eventually, the difference becomes enormous. What feels like a single day to you might represent years in the distant universe. A week could become decades. A month could become centuries. The exact numbers depend on how close you are to the event horizon. but the principle remains the same. The universe outside continues racing ahead. You become increasingly disconnected from the timeline you once belonged to. Every second of your journey pushes you farther into the future, and then something even stranger begins happening. The light from the universe behind you starts changing. As photons climb away from the black hole's gravity, they lose energy. Their wavelengths stretch, colors shift, blue becomes red. Red becomes infrared. Eventually, some light disappears entirely from visible sight. This phenomenon is known as gravitational redshifting. It means the universe behind you slowly fades, not because the stars are disappearing, because gravity is stealing energy from their light. The deeper you descend, the darker the outside universe becomes. Yet directly ahead, the black hole grows larger. Much larger. Its shadow expands across the sky. The event horizon now dominates your view. What once appeared as a distant dark circle has become a colossal wall of darkness stretching across space. And still, surprisingly, you feel nothing. No crushing force. No violent acceleration. No sense of falling. Because gravity and free fall behaves differently than people imagine, your spacecraft is not being pushed downward. It is following the natural curvature of spacetime itself. You are not fighting gravity. You are surrendering to it, following a path that space itself has created. And because ton 618 is so unbelievably massive, another unexpected thing happens. The tidal forces remain surprisingly weak. A smaller black hole would have torn you apart long ago. Not ton 618, its event horizon is so enormous that the difference in gravitational pull between your head and your feet remains relatively gentle. For now, you remain intact. Alive. Aware. Able to observe, which means you are about to witness something no human being could ever experience in reality. You are approaching the event horizon of the largest known black hole in the universe, and contrary to popular belief, crossing it may not look dramatic at all. No explosion. No sudden impact. No visible boundary. No warning signs saying you have reached the point of no return. Just a silent crossing, a moment when every escape route in the universe quietly disappears forever, and from that point onward, every future available to you leads only deeper into the darkness. There is no wall. No gate. No flashing. Warning. No sudden shockwave. No moment where alarms begin screaming and reality announces that you have crossed into forbidden territory. That is one of the most unsettling facts about black holes. The event horizon is not a physical surface. It is not made of matter. You cannot touch it. You cannot see it directly, and if you were falling toward ton 618, you might pass it without realizing it. Yet it remains one of the most important boundaries in the entire universe, because once you cross it, escape becomes impossible. Not difficult. Not unlikely. Impossible. The difference matters. Imagine standing on a mountain. You can walk uphill. You can walk downhill. You can change direction. Whenever you choose, the future remains open. Many paths are available. Now imagine a river. As the current strengthens, swimming upstream becomes harder. Eventually, the current becomes so powerful that even the strongest swimmer cannot fight it. The event horizon is similar, except instead of water pulling you forward, spacetime itself is flowing inward. Beyond a certain point, every possible path leads deeper into the black hole. Even light cannot find a route outward. The future itself points inward. That is what makes the event horizon so terrifying. It is not a prison built from matter. It is a prison built from geometry. The structure of reality changes. And for ton 618, that prison is unimaginably large. As you continue approaching the event horizon, the outside universe begins looking increasingly strange. The shadow of the black hole now dominates your field of view. What was once a distant circle has expanded into an enormous abyss stretching across much of the sky. Its darkness appears unnatural. Perfect. Absolute. Not because it is painted black. But because no light escapes from within. Every photon crossing the boundary vanishes forever. To your eyes, it looks less like an object and more like a missing piece of existence, a hole cut directly into reality. Around the edge of the shadow, something extraordinary appears, a bright ring, a distorted halo of light wrapping around the darkness. This is caused by gravitational lensing. Photons from distant stars and galaxies are being bent around the black hole. Some light circles the abyss. Before finally reaching your eyes, you begin seeing regions of the universe that should be hidden behind the black hole. The front and back of reality seem mixed together. Space no longer behaves intuitively. The sky itself becomes warped, and as you drift closer, another effect becomes noticeable. The universe behind you appears to accelerate even more. Faraway stars evolve rapidly. Galaxies slowly shift. Cosmic history seems to speed up. Thousands of years outside may pass while only a short period passes for you. Civilizations could rise and vanish. Species could appear and disappear. Entire chapters of cosmic history could unfold beyond your spacecraft. Meanwhile, you continue descending. Unchanged. Alive. Aware. Watching. The closer you move toward the horizon, the more isolated you become from the rest of existence. Every signal you send back to the universe requires more energy to escape. Radio waves become stretched. Light becomes redder. Communication becomes increasingly difficult. Observers far away would notice something remarkable. They would never actually see you cross the event horizon. From their perspective, you would appear to slow down more and more. Your movements would become sluggish. Your spacecraft would seem frozen near the edge of the abyss. The light reflecting from your ship would become redder and redder, dimmer and dimmer, eventually disappearing completely. To distant observers, it would look as though you never entered the black hole at all. You would simply fade away, frozen forever at the boundary. This is one of relativity's strangest predictions from the outside. You never appeared to cross. From your own perspective, you absolutely do. Both descriptions are correct. The universe allows both viewpoints simultaneously, and neither observer experiences anything contradictory. This is the weirdness of spacetime. The weirdness of Einstein's universe. As your spacecraft drifts ever closer, you begin approaching a moment unlike any other. The actual crossing. Popular culture often imagines this moment as dramatic, a flash, a shock, a violent transition. Reality is far more disturbing because, for a black hole as enormous as ton 618, the crossing may feel completely ordinary. There is no cosmic alarm. No explosion. No visible barrier. No line drawn across space. One moment you remain outside, the next moment you are inside, and nothing seems different. Your heartbeat remains normal. The spacecraft remains intact. The stars still shine behind you. The darkness still looms ahead. Everything appears unchanged. Yet, everything has changed because, although you may not notice it immediately, a fundamental truth about your existence has just been rewritten before crossing the horizon. Escape remained theoretically possible. A powerful enough engine, a perfectly timed maneuver, some future technology. An unlikely rescue. Possibilities existed. Now they do not. Every possible future available to you leads inward, not because something is actively dragging you, because the geometry of spacetime itself demands it. Inside the event horizon, moving toward the singularity becomes as inevitable as moving toward tomorrow. You cannot choose otherwise. The singularity is no longer merely a destination. It becomes part of your future. A future you cannot avoid. And that realization is terrifying because, despite all the strange effects, you've already witnessed the distorted stars, the accelerated universe, the warped light, the bending of time. You have not yet entered the truly unknown region. Everything up to this point is still described by physics we understand reasonably well. General relativity predicts it. Mathematics describes it. Observations support it. But beyond the event horizon lies territory humanity has never observed, a region hidden from the rest of the universe. Forever, a region where no signal can escape. A region where every journey ends the same way. Somewhere ahead, deep within ton 618, waits the singularity, or whatever actually exists where our theories break down. And for the first time since your journey began, the question is no longer whether you can escape. The answer to that question is now permanent. The only question left is what awaits you in the darkness ahead. You have crossed the event horizon. The point of no return, the boundary separating the known universe from one of the most mysterious regions in existence, and surprisingly you are still alive. No explosion. No crushing force. No instant destruction. No dramatic moment announcing that you have entered a black hole. The crossing was almost disappointingly ordinary. At least on the surface. That is one of the greatest misconceptions about black holes. People imagine the event horizon as the dangerous part. For smaller black holes, they are partially correct. Tidal forces near a small black hole become catastrophic long before you ever reach the horizon. A stellar mass black hole would tear you apart far outside the event horizon. Ton 618 is different. Because it is so absurdly large, its event horizon spans such an enormous distance that the gravitational difference between your head and your feet remains relatively small. The black hole's gravity is immense, but it changes gradually, and that gradual change allows you to survive far longer than intuition suggests. In fact, if your spacecraft were indestructible and your life support systems somehow functioned indefinitely, you might not immediately notice anything unusual after crossing the horizon. The stars behind you still exist. The spacecraft remains intact. Your heartbeat continues. Your thoughts remain clear. Reality appears normal, yet hidden beneath that illusion lies a terrifying truth. Every second that passes is carrying you deeper toward a destination you can never avoid, the singularity, or whatever truly exists at the center of ton 618. Inside the event horizon, the concept of direction begins to lose its familiar meaning on Earth. Directions are choices. North, south, east, west, up, down. You decide where to go. Inside a black hole, things become stranger. The singularity effectively becomes your future. Not a place, a future. Just as you cannot choose to stop moving toward tomorrow, you cannot choose to stop moving toward the center. The geometry of spacetime itself forces the journey. Every path, every possible trajectory, every future available to you leads inward. This is not because gravity is pulling you like a rope. It is because spacetime has become distorted beyond anything humans experience elsewhere. Imagine standing on a mountain during a landslide. The entire landscape is moving. The ground itself is carrying you somewhere. That image is still far too weak to describe what is happening inside ton 618, because here, spacetime itself is flowing, and it flows only one way. Deeper. As minutes pass, the outside universe begins disappearing behind you. The event horizon is now between you and the cosmos, between you and every star, every galaxy. Every civilization. Every possibility of return. The universe still exists, but it is forever unreachable. Even light emitted from your spacecraft can no longer escape. Every photon you produce remains trapped. Every radio transmission dies with you. Every message becomes imprisoned forever inside the black hole. You have become causally disconnected from the rest of reality. The universe cannot hear you, and you can never truly communicate with it again. This is where the psychological horror begins, because unlike the violent deaths we usually imagine, falling into ton 618 offers time to think. Time to observe. Time to understand what is happening, and perhaps that makes it worse. Far worse. Imagine realizing that escape is not merely difficult, not merely unlikely, mathematically impossible. No engine can help you. No future civilization can rescue you. No advanced technology can reverse your path. Not because technology failed, because the universe itself no longer allows it. That realization would be terrifying, yet the physics becomes even stranger. As you continue inward, gravitational lensing grows increasingly extreme. Light from behind you bends around the interior geometry of the black hole. The stars appear distorted, stretched. Twisted. The remaining visible universe begins collapsing into a smaller and smaller region of the sky. It is as though reality is folding inward. The deeper you travel, the more compressed the outside cosmos appears. Entire galaxies squeeze into tiny patches of light. Ancient star light bends into impossible shapes. The sky itself starts looking alien, and all the while, the singularity waits ahead, or at least that is what general relativity predicts. The problem is that nobody actually knows what exists there. This is where physics begins breaking down. Einstein's equations suggest that matter ultimately collapses into a point of infinite density, infinite gravity, infinite curvature, a singularity, but physicists hate infinities. Whenever infinities appear in equations, they usually signal that the theory is incomplete. Not necessarily wrong. Incomplete. It means we have reached the edge of our understanding, a place where general relativity and quantum mechanics refuse to cooperate. A place where humanity's greatest theories stop giving reliable answers. Some researchers believe singularities do not truly exist. Others think quantum effects prevent infinite collapse. Some propose exotic structures, quantum cores, Planck stars. Unknown states of matter. Entirely new forms of physics nobody knows, because no information ever escapes to tell us. Ton 618 guards its secrets perfectly, and somewhere ahead lies the answer. Perhaps. As the journey continues, another unsettling fact emerges. You are falling toward something that may be larger than entire solar systems. The interior volume of Ton 618 is enormous, unimaginably enormous. Many people assume falling into a black hole means reaching the center almost immediately. Not here. Not in Ton 618. The scale changes everything. The black hole is so vast that your journey inward could last much longer than expected. You would have time. Time to watch the universe distort. Time to contemplate your fate. Time to realize that you have entered one of the largest structures known to exist, and yet despite its enormous size, despite its unimaginable mass, despite its terrifying gravity, the most dangerous part of the journey still lies ahead, because eventually the gentle tidal forces that allowed you to survive will begin growing stronger. And stronger. And stronger. Ton 618 may delay your destruction, but it cannot prevent it forever. The closer you move toward the center, the more spacetime itself begins pulling at your body. At first, the effect is subtle, barely measurable. Then it becomes noticeable. Then unavoidable. And eventually, even the largest black hole in the universe will remind you why black holes are feared at all, because the phenomenon known as spaghettification has only been postponed, not cancelled. And when it finally begins, you will witness one of the most violent consequences of gravity anywhere in existence. For a surprisingly long time, nothing happens. At least nothing obvious. You crossed the event horizon, you left the observable universe behind. You entered one of the largest black holes ever discovered. And yet your body remains intact, your spacecraft remains intact. The singularity still lies somewhere ahead. This feels wrong. Everything you have ever heard about black holes suggests immediate destruction. But Ton 618 is not a normal black hole. Its immense size changes the rules. A smaller black hole would have torn you apart long ago. TON 618 allows the illusion of safety. An illusion that becomes increasingly dangerous the longer it lasts. Because, while you continue drifting deeper into the abyss, gravity is slowly preparing something horrifying, something physicists call spaghettification. The name sounds almost humorous. The reality is not. Spaghettification occurs because gravity is not perfectly uniform. Gravity weakens with distance. That means the part of your body closest to the singularity experiences a slightly stronger pull than the part farther away. On Earth, the difference is tiny. So tiny that you never notice it. Your feet are slightly closer to Earth's center than your head, yet the gravitational difference is insignificant. Inside a black hole, the situation changes dramatically. The closer you move toward the center, the stronger the gravitational gradient becomes. Your feet feel more gravity than your chest feels more gravity than your head. The difference grows and grows and grows. Eventually, your body begins experiencing tidal forces. For now, inside ton 618, those forces remain manageable. That is because the black hole is so enormous, its event horizon lies extremely far from the central region where gravity becomes truly violent. The monster gives you something unusual. More time than any smaller black hole ever would, but time is not mercy. It is merely a delay. And during that delay, something even stranger begins happening. Your relationship with time itself continues changing outside the black hole. Distant observers would already have watched your final signals disappear. To them, you effectively vanished ages ago. Years. Centuries. Perhaps even longer depending on how close you approached before transmission ended. Entire civilizations might already have risen and fallen. Languages might have evolved. Continents might have changed. Stars might have died. You can never know. The event horizon has severed your connection to history. You are now isolated inside a private region of space-time, a region cut off from the rest of reality. Yet inside your spacecraft, your watch continues ticking normally. Seconds still feel like seconds. Minutes still feel like minutes. Nothing about your internal experience suggests anything unusual. That contrast is one of the most disturbing consequences of relativity. The universe outside may be racing forward through unimaginable stretches of time, yet your personal experience remains ordinary. It is as if two completely different versions of reality now coexist. The one you remember, and the one you can never return to. As the journey continues, the appearance of the sky changes again. The remaining visible universe begins compressing. Light becomes increasingly distorted, gravitational lensing reaches extraordinary levels, the stars no longer resemble stars. Galaxies no longer resemble galaxies. The sky begins collapsing into warped rings and arcs surrounding you. Every photon entering your eyes has traveled through a spacetime geometry unlike anything found elsewhere in the cosmos. The universe starts looking less like a place and more like an abstract painting created by gravity itself. Shapes stretch. Light bends. Perspective loses meaning. There is no familiar horizon anymore, only distortion, only curvature, only the growing dominance of the singularity ahead. And now, finally, the tidal forces begin becoming noticeable. Not catastrophic. Not yet, but noticeable. Sensitive instruments detect increasing strain. The structure of your spacecraft experiences minute stretching. Measurements reveal tiny differences in gravitational pull across different sections of the vessel. At first, the numbers seem harmless. Then they steadily increase. This is the beginning, the first warning signs. Ton 618 has delayed the inevitable for an astonishing amount of time, but the closer you move toward the center, the faster conditions deteriorate. Imagine standing on a rubber sheet, being slowly pulled from both ends. At first, you barely notice. Then the tension becomes obvious, then impossible to ignore. The same thing happens here. Spacetime itself is stretching. And everything inside it stretches as well. Your spacecraft. Your equipment. Your body. Your atoms. Everything. The process remains gradual because ton 618 is so large. That is what makes it terrifying. You have time to watch it happen, time to understand it. Time to anticipate it. A smaller black hole would kill you too quickly to fully comprehend what was happening. TON 618 allows observation. Ton 618 allows awareness. Ton 618 allows dread. The singularity itself remains invisible. No telescope can show it to you. No window can reveal it because every path of light is being distorted by gravity. The center of the black hole becomes less like a destination and more like a certainty. You know it exists, you know you are moving toward it, but you cannot directly observe it. It hides behind the deepest distortions spacetime can create. And somewhere within those distortions, physics begins approaching its limits. General relativity still describes the journey reasonably well, but the closer you get to the center, the more incomplete our equations become. Quantum mechanics starts demanding attention, gravity grows stronger. Curvature increases. And eventually humanity's best theories stop agreeing with one another. This is where science enters darkness. Not physical darkness, intellectual darkness, a region where our models provide possibilities instead of answers, because no human being has ever observed what lies beyond this point. No information has ever escaped. No experiment has ever reached it. Everything that follows exists at the frontier of knowledge itself, and as the tidal forces continue strengthening around you, another realization slowly emerges. The singularity may not be the most frightening thing waiting ahead, because before you ever reach whatever exists at the center of ton 618, you are about to encounter something even stranger. A region where the concepts of distance, direction, and perhaps even time itself begin losing their ordinary meaning. A region where reality starts behaving in ways that challenge the foundations of physics. And that journey is only beginning. Somewhere ahead lies the center of ton 618. At least, that is what our equations tell us. A destination, a final point, the place where every path inside the black hole eventually leads. But as you continue falling deeper, something strange begins happening. The idea of a destination starts losing meaning. The idea of distance starts losing meaning. Even the idea of direction begins to break apart. On Earth, directions are simple. Forward, backward, left, right, up, down. They feel permanent. Obvious. Fundamental. Inside a black hole, they are not, because directions only make sense when spacetime behaves normally, and deep inside ton 618, spacetime is becoming anything but normal. Imagine standing on a road. You can walk north, south, east, west. Now imagine a road where every possible direction leads toward the same place. No matter which way you turn. No matter which path you choose. No matter what decision you make, the outcome never changes. That is the reality inside the event horizon. The singularity is no longer simply somewhere ahead of you. It becomes woven into the structure of your future itself. Just as tomorrow is unavoidable outside the black hole, the center becomes unavoidable inside it. This is one of the most difficult concepts in general relativity, because it transforms the singularity from a location into something closer to a moment in time. A future event. An unavoidable destination written directly into spacetime. The deeper you descend, the stranger this becomes. The geometry surrounding you continues distorting. Light behaves unpredictably. Distance becomes difficult to define. The interior of ton 618 is not a giant empty cavern. It is not a tunnel. It is not a cosmic cave. Those images are useful for movies. Reality is far stranger. You are moving through a region where the fabric of existence itself is being bent beyond anything encountered elsewhere in the known universe. Every second brings stronger curvature. Every second pushes known physics closer to its breaking point, and still you continue falling. The tidal forces now become increasingly obvious. Your spacecraft experiences measurable stretching. Not enough to destroy it. Not yet, but enough that every instrument begins reporting the same thing. Gravity is changing faster. The difference between one part of the ship and another is growing. Spacetime is no longer treating all locations equally. The closer region falls slightly faster. The farther region lags behind. The stretching continues. Slowly. Relentlessly. Like an invisible machine pulling reality apart. And then another unsettling realization emerges. The stars are gone, the universe is gone, the galaxies are gone, not because they ceased existing, because the geometry separating you from them has become overwhelming. The outside cosmos no longer dominates your vision. Instead, Your environment becomes increasingly governed by the black hole itself. Ton 618 now fills your reality. The monster has become your entire universe. Everything familiar has vanished behind the horizon. Everything ahead lies beyond observation. You're trapped between a forgotten universe and an unknowable destination. Few places in physics are more isolated. Few places are more mysterious, because this is where science begins running out of answers. General relativity remains extraordinarily successful. It predicts black holes. It predicts gravitational lensing. It predicts time dilation. It predicts gravitational waves. Again and again, Einstein's theory proves correct, yet near the singularity, something goes wrong. The equations begin producing infinities: infinite density, infinite curvature, infinite gravity. Physicists hate infinities. Whenever infinity appears, it usually means a theory has reached its limits, not necessarily because the theory is wrong. Because it is incomplete. The singularity is less a confirmed object and more a warning sign. A warning that our understanding has ended. Beyond this point, new physics must exist. The universe cannot literally contain infinities. Most scientists reject that idea. Instead, they believe something else happens, something our current theories cannot yet describe, and this is where speculation begins. Some physicists believe the singularity never forms. Instead, quantum effects halt the collapse before infinite density appears. Others propose exotic quantum structures. Objects compressed beyond imagination, but never truly infinite. Some theories predict a quantum core. Others predict a Planck-scale region where spacetime itself becomes granular, not smooth, not continuous, but built from fundamental units smaller than anything we have ever observed. There are even theories suggesting black holes may contain entirely new regions of spacetime. Hidden universes, quantum tunnels, exotic geometries. Most of these ideas remain unproven. Yet all exist because the mathematics near the singularity refuses to cooperate. The closer we approach the center, the less certain our knowledge becomes, and that uncertainty creates one of the greatest mysteries in science. What actually exists at the heart of a black hole, nobody knows. Not because scientists lack intelligence, not because telescopes are insufficient, because nature itself hides the answer. The event horizon acts like a perfect curtain. Every experiment ends the same way. Information enters, nothing leaves. Ton 618 protects its secret absolutely. And now, as your journey continues inward, the tidal forces begin accelerating. The gentle stretching that once seemed harmless grows stronger. Noticeably stronger, the spacecraft creaks, structural stress rises, gravity's grip tightens, the black hole is running out of patience. For a long time, its immense size protected you. Its gigantic event horizon delayed the worst effects, but the closer you move toward the center, the less that protection matters. The singularity, or whatever replaces it, continues waiting ahead. And somewhere between where you are now and whatever lies at the center, the phenomenon known as spaghettification will finally begin in earnest. Not the mild stretching you've experienced so far, the real thing. The violent consequence of gravity overwhelming every force holding matter together. Your spacecraft, your body, your atoms, everything, and when that process begins, Ton 618 will reveal why even the largest black hole in the universe ultimately grants no mercy to anything that falls inside. The real spaghettification does not begin all at once. That is what makes it so terrifying. There is no single moment where a switch flips and everything ends. Instead, gravity gradually takes control. Slowly, relentlessly, inevitably. For most of your journey through Ton 618, the black hole's enormous size protected you. Its gigantic event horizon delayed the lethal tidal forces that would have destroyed you near a smaller black hole. That protection is ending now. The deeper you fall, the faster gravity changes from one point to another. The difference between your head and your feet grows larger. The difference between the front and rear of your spacecraft grows larger. The invisible stretching force becomes impossible to ignore. Imagine being suspended between two powerful machines pulling in opposite directions. At first, the tension feels manageable, then uncomfortable, then unbearable. That image still fails to capture the reality. Because this force is not acting only on your body. It acts on everything. Bones, organs, cells, molecules, atoms, the very structure of matter itself. And unlike any machine ever built, gravity never becomes tired. Gravity never stops. Gravity never loses strength. As you continue falling, the spacecraft begins deforming. Structural supports bend. Metal stretches. Tiny fractures appear. Computer systems start failing, not because they were poorly designed, because no material was ever intended to survive conditions like these. The vessel that once protected you now struggles against the geometry of spacetime itself. Outside the windows, reality looks increasingly alien. There are no familiar stars anymore. No recognizable galaxies. No cosmic landmarks, only distorted light twisted into impossible shapes. The black hole has consumed your universe. Everything you see is now dominated by its gravity, and still you continue falling. One of the strangest aspects of this stage is that your speed no longer feels meaningful. People often ask how fast something falls into a black hole. The question sounds simple. The answer is not. Speed only makes sense relative to something else. Inside ton 618, spacetime itself is collapsing inward. The normal rules of distance and motion begin losing their meaning. You are not simply moving through space. You are moving through a region where space itself is being transformed. Every kilometer deeper carries you closer to a realm where our understanding of physics becomes uncertain. The tidal forces continue increasing. The stretching becomes obvious. Your body begins feeling it. First as pressure. Then as strain. Then as something much worse. Your feet experience stronger gravity than your head. The difference keeps growing every second, every minute. Every moment, you are being pulled into a longer and longer shape. This is the true origin of the term spaghettification. Gravity literally attempts to stretch you into a thin strand of matter. Meanwhile, a second force compresses you from the sides. As the black hole stretches you vertically, it squeezes you horizontally. Longer. Thinner. Longer. Thinner. Again and again, the process becomes increasingly violent, yet the horror goes beyond physical destruction. Because you are witnessing it happen, you understand exactly what is occurring. Ton 618 has given you something smaller black holes rarely provide. Awareness, time to observe your own fate, time to understand the mechanism of your destruction, and perhaps that knowledge makes the experience even worse. As conditions worsen, another realization emerges. The singularity still lies ahead somewhere. You have traveled unimaginable distances within the black hole, yet the center remains elusive. This highlights just how enormous ton 618 truly is. Even inside one of the largest black holes known to science, the journey remains vast. The monster contains regions larger than entire planetary systems, regions where light itself would need tremendous amounts of time to travel. And somewhere beyond all of that waits the final mystery, the place where Einstein's equations fail, the place where modern physics reaches its limits, the place we call the singularity. Or at least what we currently call the singularity, because nobody knows what actually exists there. As you move deeper, quantum physics becomes increasingly important. General relativity continues describing gravity, but another set of laws begins demanding attention. The laws governing the microscopic universe, and those laws refuse to cooperate with Einstein's description of black holes. This conflict has frustrated physicists for decades. Gravity and quantum mechanics are both incredibly successful, yet near the center of a black hole, they become incompatible. The closer you approach the singularity, the louder that disagreement becomes. Somewhere ahead, one of our theories must give way, or both must be replaced by something entirely new. This is why black holes remain among the most important objects in science. They are not merely cosmic monsters, they are laboratories, natural experiments operating under conditions impossible to recreate anywhere else. Inside Ton 618, you are approaching one of the greatest mysteries in existence, not merely a destination. A question humanity still cannot answer. What happens when gravity becomes stronger than any force we know? What happens when spacetime itself approaches its limits? What happens when reality is pushed beyond the boundaries of modern physics? The stretching continues. The spacecraft continues deforming, the tidal forces continue increasing, and somewhere ahead, hidden behind the deepest layers of the black hole, waits a region where our equations no longer provide certainty. A region where even the concepts of space and time may begin breaking apart. And compared to what comes next, spaghettification may be the easy part. For more than a century, physicists have asked a simple question: what happens at the center of a black hole? Not near it, not around it, at the very center, the final destination, the place every path inside Ton 618 ultimately leads. Surprisingly, despite everything humanity has learned about the universe, we still do not know the answer. We know what happens outside black holes. We understand the event horizon. We understand gravitational lensing. We understand time dilation. We understand orbital mechanics. We can even photograph the shadows of black holes, but the center remains hidden. Not because it is far away, because nature refuses to let us see it. Every signal disappears. Every message is trapped. Every piece of information becomes inaccessible. Ton 618 guards its deepest secret perfectly. And now you are approaching that secret. The tidal forces continue increasing. The stretching becomes more severe. The spacecraft is beginning to fail. Structural supports buckle, systems shut down, gravity steadily dismantles everything built to resist it, yet something even stranger is happening. The concepts you have relied on your entire life are beginning to lose meaning. Distance, direction, time, all of them become increasingly uncertain. On Earth, space and time feel separate. Space tells you where something is. Time tells you when something happens. Inside a black hole, those distinctions become blurred. Einstein's equations reveal something remarkable. Near the singularity, spacetime becomes so distorted that our ordinary intuition completely collapses. The geometry itself becomes extreme. And as the curvature increases, familiar concepts stop behaving the way we expect. Imagine trying to navigate through a world where every road bends unpredictably. Every map fails. Every compass becomes useless. That is still a weak comparison. Because near the center of Ton 618, it is not merely navigation that becomes difficult. Reality itself becomes difficult to describe the closer you approach. The more general relativity predicts impossible conditions. Density rises, curvature rises, gravity rises, eventually the equations reach infinity, and that single word creates one of the biggest problems in all of science. Infinity. Physicists distrust infinities. Whenever an equation produces infinity, it usually means the theory has reached its limits. A warning sign, a message from nature saying you are missing something. General relativity predicts a singularity because it does not include quantum mechanics. Quantum mechanics governs the microscopic universe. Atoms, particles, energy fluctuations. The deepest layers of reality. And near the center of a black hole, quantum effects can no longer be ignored. The two theories must work together. Yet they don't, not completely. This conflict has become one of the greatest unsolved problems in modern science. A theory of quantum gravity, a framework capable of uniting Einstein's gravity with quantum mechanics. Humanity has been searching for it for decades, and black holes may hold the answer because nowhere else in the universe do gravity and quantum effects become so extreme simultaneously. Ton 618 is not merely a black hole. It is a natural laboratory operating beyond the limits of our current understanding. Some physicists believe the singularity never truly forms. Instead, quantum effects intervene before infinity appears. The collapse stops. The matter reaches an unimaginably dense state, but not an infinite one. Others propose something even stranger, a Planck-scale core, a region where spacetime itself becomes granular. Not smooth, not continuous, built from fundamental units smaller than anything we have ever observed. Imagine zooming into reality itself, closer, until spacetime begins looking less like a continuous fabric and more like individual building blocks. Some theories suggest that is exactly what happens, and inside a black hole, those building blocks may dominate reality. There are even more radical possibilities. Some researchers suggest the singularity could act as a gateway, not a portal in the science fiction sense, but a transition into a different spacetime geometry, a region disconnected from the universe we know. Certain mathematical models hint at the possibility of white holes, objects theoretically opposite to black holes. Others hint at entirely separate universes. Again, none of these ideas have been proven, but they exist because our current theories remain incomplete. And the closer you move toward the center of Ton 618, the more obvious that incompleteness becomes. The tidal forces are now overwhelming. Your spacecraft is being stretched into a shape that no engineer would recognize. Components tear apart. Systems fail one after another. The black hole is dismantling matter itself, and yet the singularity still remains ahead. Hidden, unseen, unreachable in any ordinary sense. You know it is there. The mathematics insists it is there. Yet you cannot observe it directly. It remains concealed behind the most extreme distortions spacetime can produce. This is what makes black holes uniquely mysterious. A star can be observed, a galaxy can be observed, a nebula can be observed, even the edge of a black hole can be observed. But the center remains permanently hidden. Nature has built a perfect curtain around one of its deepest secrets. And perhaps that secret is even stranger than physicists currently imagine, because there is another possibility, a possibility that emerges when quantum mechanics enters the story. What if information is not destroyed? For decades, physicists believed black holes erased information forever. Anything falling inside vanished. Its history disappeared. Its identity ceased to matter. Then Stephen Hawking discovered something remarkable. Black holes are not completely black. They emit radiation. Slowly, extremely slowly, but they radiate energy. This discovery created a paradox. If black holes eventually evaporate, what happens to the information trapped inside? Quantum mechanics says information cannot be destroyed. General relativity seems to say it can. Both theories cannot be correct simultaneously. Somewhere, one of our assumptions must be wrong, and Ton 618 sits directly at the center of this mystery because every particle falling inward carries information. Every atom, every photon, every memory, every event, everything becomes part of the black hole. Yet somehow the laws of physics insist that information must survive. The question is how. Nobody knows. Not yet. And as your journey toward the center continues, you are moving toward the very place where that answer may ultimately be hidden. The singularity, or whatever truly exists where our equations break, the place where gravity overwhelms everything, the place where quantum mechanics demands attention, the place where the known universe ends and deeper mysteries begin, and compared to what may happen next, even the singularity itself might not be the most extraordinary thing waiting inside Ton 618. Long before humanity discovered Ton 618, physicists believed black holes were simple. Terrifying. Mysterious. But simple. Anything falls in, nothing comes out, the end. For decades, that idea seemed perfectly reasonable. After all, the event horizon appears to be a one-way boundary. Cross it and escape becomes impossible. Light cannot escape. Matter cannot escape. Information cannot escape. Everything disappears forever, or so we thought. Then, in the 1970s, a young physicist named Stephen Hawking changed everything. And in doing so, he created one of the greatest mysteries in the history of science. The mystery begins with something astonishing. Black holes are not completely black. At first, that sounds impossible. The entire definition of a black hole is that nothing escapes, yet Hawking's calculations suggested exactly that. Not matter, not spacecraft, not stars, but radiation. Tiny amounts of energy leaking away from the edge of the event horizon. This phenomenon became known as Hawking radiation, and it shattered decades of assumptions. To understand why, imagine the vacuum of space. Most people think empty space is truly empty. It isn't. According to quantum mechanics, empty space is alive with activity. Even the vacuum constantly fluctuates. Tiny particles appear, disappear, appear again, disappear again. Everywhere. All the time. These are called virtual particles. Normally, they annihilate each other almost instantly. The universe barely notices them, but near an event horizon, something strange can happen. One particle falls inward, the other escapes. The black hole loses a tiny amount of energy. Over immense periods of time, the process continues. Again, and again. And again, the black hole slowly evaporates. This was revolutionary because it meant black holes are not eternal. They do not last forever. Given enough time, they eventually disappear, even monsters like Ton 618. That realization immediately created a problem. A very serious problem. Suppose you throw a book into Ton 618. The book contains information. Words. Letters. Meaning. History. Now throw in a computer. Then a person. Then a planet. Then an entire civilization. Everything falls beyond the event horizon. Everything disappears from view. Eventually, after unimaginable spans of time, the black hole evaporates through Hawking radiation. What happens to the information? That question sounds harmless. It isn't single quotes t. Because in quantum mechanics, information cannot be destroyed. This is one of the deepest rules in all of physics. Information can change form. It can become scrambled. It can become difficult to recover. But it cannot simply vanish. The universe keeps track of it. Always. Yet black holes seem to do exactly the opposite. Information enters, the black hole evaporates. The information disappears. That would violate quantum mechanics. And quantum mechanics is one of the most successful theories ever created. Its predictions have been confirmed countless times. The theory works exceptionally well. So physicists found themselves facing a crisis. Either black holes destroy information. Or quantum mechanics is incomplete, or something else is happening that nobody understands. This became known as the black hole information paradox. And for nearly 50 years, it has remained one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in science. Now imagine your journey through Ton 618. Every atom in your body carries information. Your DNA. Your memories, the arrangement of particles inside your brain, the history of your existence. Everything. As you continue falling inward, all of that information enters the black hole. The question is simple: does it survive? According to quantum mechanics, it must. According to older interpretations of black holes, it cannot. Somewhere, a hidden mechanism must exist, and that hidden mechanism may reveal something profound about reality itself. Over the years, physicists proposed countless solutions. Some suggested information remains encoded on the event horizon. Others argued that Hawking radiation somehow carries information away. Not obviously. Not in a readable form, but hidden within subtle quantum correlations. Imagine shredding every book ever written, then scattering the pieces across an entire planet. The information still exists. Recovering it becomes nearly impossible. But it is not destroyed. Many modern theories suggest black holes behave similarly. Information becomes scrambled beyond recognition, yet survives. Others proposed even stranger ideas. The holographic principle, one of the most fascinating concepts in theoretical physics. According to this idea, everything happening inside a region of space may be encoded on its boundary. A three-dimensional reality described by two-dimensional information, almost like a cosmic hologram, if true. The event horizon of Ton 618 may function as an unimaginably vast storage device. A surface recording every particle that ever crossed it, every star, every planet, every atom. Every photon. Everything. The implications are extraordinary. It would mean black holes are not cosmic erasers, they're cosmic archives, the greatest information storage systems in the universe. Yet even this may not be the end of the story, because recent developments have introduced ideas even stranger. Quantum entanglement. Wormholes. Equals EPR. Concepts suggesting that spacetime and information may be connected far more deeply than we currently understand. Some researchers now suspect that the secret of black holes is not hidden inside them at all. The secret may lie in the relationship between information and spacetime itself. The very fabric of reality, ton 618, therefore, becomes more than a black hole. More than a monster, more than a gravitational abyss. It becomes a laboratory for answering one of the deepest questions ever asked. What is reality made of? Matter, energy, spacetime, or information? Because if information truly survives inside black holes, then reality may be fundamentally different than humanity has imagined. And somewhere deep within ton 618, beyond the event horizon, beyond the tidal forces, beyond the limits of general relativity, that answer may already exist. Hidden. Encoded. Waiting. The black hole knows, the universe knows, only we do not. And as your descent continues toward the deepest regions of the largest known black hole, another question emerges. A question even stranger than the information paradox. What would happen if ton 618 lived long enough to die? Because despite its unimaginable size, despite its 60 billion solar masses, despite its terrifying power, even ton 618 is not immortal. Every black hole dies, even ton 618. At first, that statement sounds absurd. How could something so enormous ever disappear? How could an object weighing 60 billion suns simply cease to exist? After all, ton 618 seems eternal. Its gravity dominates an entire region of space. Its event horizon is larger than many solar systems. Its quasar can outshine entire galaxies. Compared to human civilization, it appears immortal. Compared to Earth, it appears immortal. Compared to stars, it appears immortal. But compared to the universe itself, nothing is immortal. Not even the largest black hole we know. The reason lies in Hawking radiation. The same process that created the information paradox also predicts the eventual death of every black hole. Slowly. Unimagably slowly. But inevitably. Every second, ton 618 loses a tiny amount of energy. An amount so small it is effectively impossible to measure. The monster continues gaining far more mass from its surroundings than it loses through Hawking radiation. For now, for billions of years, this imbalance keeps the black hole growing. The universe remains full of gas clouds. Stars. Galaxies. Matter still exists. There's food available. Ton 618 continues feeding. But the universe is changing. Galaxies are moving apart. Stars are dying. Matter is becoming increasingly scarce. And eventually, a day will come when ton 618 can no longer replenish what it loses. At that moment, the balance changes. The black hole begins shrinking. At first, the process is almost laughably slow, a mass loss so tiny that entire civilizations could rise and fall without noticing, then entire species, then entire planets, then entire stars. Still, the black hole remains. The time scales involved are beyond ordinary imagination. The current age of the universe is about 13.8 billion years. That number already feels enormous. Ton 618 laughs at such numbers. Its lifetime is so vast that billions of years become insignificant. Trillions of years become insignificant. Quadrillions become insignificant. Even numbers with dozens of zeros begin feeling inadequate. The expected lifetime of ton 618 extends so far into the future that nearly everything familiar will vanish long before the black hole notices. Imagine a future where every star in the Milky Way has died. No sunlight. No planets bathed in warmth. No blue skies. No civilizations. Only dark stellar remnants drifting through space. White dwarfs, neutron stars. Black holes. Even that era arrives long before ton 618 approaches death. Now imagine waiting longer. Much longer. Entire galaxies begin changing, stars stop forming, the cosmos grows darker, the brilliant universe we know today becomes increasingly quiet. Still ton 618 survives, now wait longer. Galaxies themselves begin falling apart. Gravitational encounters eject stars into intergalactic space, the night sky empties, darkness spreads, still ton 618 survives. Long after the final ordinary stars disappear, the giant black hole remains, a cosmic survivor, a relic from an ancient age when galaxies still shone. An ancient monster lingering after almost everything else has vanished. This future is known as the black hole era, a time when black holes dominate the universe. No longer stars. No longer galaxies. Black holes. Everywhere. Large ones. Small ones. Supermassive ones, the last great structures of a dying cosmos. And among them, ton 618 would rank among the largest survivors. Imagine looking across the universe during that era. No brilliant spiral galaxies. No nebulae. No glowing clusters. Only darkness interrupted by invisible gravitational giants. The universe becomes almost silent, a place where light itself grows rare. Yet even then, Hawking radiation continues, slowly consuming the black hole from within. Particle by particle. Photon by photon. Year after year, trillion after trillion after trillion of years. The monster shrinks. Almost imperceptibly, but continuously. Eventually something remarkable happens. As a black hole loses mass, its temperature rises. This seems backwards. Most objects cool as they shrink. Black holes do the opposite. The smaller they become, the hotter they get. The faster they radiate. The faster they evaporate. Ton 618 spends almost its entire life changing very little. Then, near the end, everything accelerates. The giant that spent unimaginable ages slowly shrinking suddenly begins losing mass more rapidly. The process feeds itself. Smaller. Hotter. Smaller. Hotter. Again and again. The end approaches faster and faster. And then comes the final moment, the death of the black hole. What exactly happens remains uncertain. Our current theories cannot describe the last fraction of a second perfectly. Quantum gravity becomes important. Physics enters territory we do not fully understand, but most models agree on one thing. The final stage is violent, a burst of energy. An eruption of radiation, the last remaining mass converted into outgoing particles. The monster that survived longer than galaxies, longer than stars, longer than civilizations, finally disappears. Gone. Ton 618 ceases to exist. The largest black hole known to humanity reduced to radiation, its journey complete, its lifespan finished. Yet this creates another mystery. What happened to everything that fell inside? Every star. Every planet, every atom, every civilization. Every piece of information accumulated over unimaginable spans of time. Where did it go? Did it escape through Hawking? Radiation, was it preserved somehow? Was it transformed into something else? This question remains unanswered. And perhaps it is one of the deepest questions in all of physics, because when ton 618 finally dies, it may reveal something profound about reality itself. Not merely about black holes, not merely about gravity, but about the ultimate nature of information, space-time, and existence. And as your journey continues deeper into the abyss, another possibility begins emerging, a possibility so strange that it challenges everything we think we know about black holes, because what if the singularity is not the end? What if the center of ton 618 is not a destination at all? What if it is a doorway to something even stranger? What if the singularity is not the end? For decades, physicists assumed it was. a final destination, a cosmic dead end, the point where everything stops, matter stops, time stops, physics stops, the ultimate graveyard of reality. But the deeper scientists studied black holes, the more uncomfortable that conclusion became. Because singularities create problems, big problems, the equations predict infinities, infinite density, infinite curvature, infinite gravity. And infinities are usually warning signs. Whenever physics produces infinity, it often means something important is missing. A deeper theory, a hidden layer of reality, an explanation not yet discovered. So naturally, scientists began asking a dangerous question: what if singularities don't actually exist? What if something else happens instead? That question opened the door to some of the strangest ideas in modern physics. Ideas so bizarre they sound like science fiction, yet many emerged directly from legitimate mathematical equations. One of those ideas is the wormhole. Perhaps the most famous hypothetical structure in theoretical physics, a wormhole is often described as a shortcut through space-time. Imagine folding a sheet of paper to distant points suddenly touch. Instead of traveling across the entire sheet, you move directly between them. That is the basic concept. A tunnel connecting separate regions of space-time, potentially separated by enormous distances. Or perhaps by time itself. The idea first emerged naturally from Einstein's equations. In 1935. Einstein and Nathan Rosen discovered a mathematical solution that later became known as the Einstein-Rosen bridge, what we now call a wormhole. At first, the concept seemed exciting. Maybe black holes weren't dead ends. Maybe they were gateways. Maybe matter entering one side emerged somewhere else. Another galaxy. Another universe. Another reality. But there was a problem. A serious one. The wormholes predicted by general relativity appear unstable. Extremely unstable. They collapse almost instantly, faster than light could travel through them. In practical terms, this means crossing one would be impossible. The tunnel closes before anything can pass. Unless something extraordinary exists, exotic matter. A hypothetical substance with negative energy density, a form of matter never conclusively observed. Yet certain quantum effects suggest it might be possible. And if exotic matter exists, wormholes might become stable, not permanently, but potentially long enough for passage. This possibility transformed black holes from cosmic prisons into potential doorways, and suddenly the center of ton 618 became much more interesting, because if a wormhole exists inside a black hole, where does it lead? The question remains unanswered. Some models suggest another location in our universe. Others suggest entirely different universes, and this is where things become truly strange, because another theoretical object exists, the white hole. A white hole is essentially the opposite of a black hole. Nothing can enter, everything must leave. Matter erupts outward, light escapes, energy pours into space. The object functions like a black hole running backwards. No white hole has ever been observed, not one. They remain purely theoretical, yet Einstein's equations allow them. And some physicists noticed something fascinating. A wormhole could connect a black hole to a white hole. Matter enters one side, matter exits the other. The black hole becomes an entrance, the white hole becomes an exit. A cosmic tunnel stretching through spacetime itself. Imagine what that would mean. Everything falling into ton 618 would not be destroyed. It would simply go somewhere else. Every star, every planet, every atom, every civilization. Everything transported beyond our observable universe, perhaps beyond our reality altogether. The idea is extraordinary, and because it is extraordinary, most physicists remain skeptical. Evidence remains absent, yet the mathematics continues allowing the possibility. And black holes continue refusing to reveal their secrets. Then came an even stranger idea. Baby universes. According to some theories of quantum gravity, black holes may create entirely new universes. Not tunnels. Not shortcuts, new universes, independent realities. Imagine a collapsing star forming a black hole. Matter compresses, gravity intensifies. Density rises, eventually spacetime becomes so distorted that a new expanding region forms, disconnected from the parent universe. Its own space, its own time, its own future, its own Big Bang. Inside this framework, every black hole becomes a cosmic seed, a generator of universes. And if that idea is correct, Ton 618 may contain an entire cosmos hidden beyond its event horizon, a universe invisible from ours, perhaps containing stars. Galaxies. Planets. Maybe even life. The implications are staggering. Because if black holes create universes, our own universe might have originated the same way. Perhaps our Big Bang was not the beginning of everything. Perhaps it was the interior of a black hole existing inside another universe, a universe beyond our reach. Apparent reality forever hidden from observation. This concept remains speculative, very speculative, but it demonstrates how deeply black holes challenge our understanding. The deeper scientists investigate, the stranger the possibilities become. And there is another reason these ideas refuse to disappear: the information paradox. Quantum mechanics insists information survives, black holes seem to destroy it. Some theories solve this conflict by allowing information to escape elsewhere, not back into our universe, into another one. The black hole becomes a bridge, a transfer mechanism, a cosmic recycling system. Again, there is no proof, only mathematics, only possibilities, only unanswered questions, yet all of them point toward the same conclusion. The center of Ton 618 may not be a simple singularity. It may be something far more complicated. A region where spacetime changes form, a region where our current laws cease being sufficient, a region where the distinction between universe and black hole begins to blur. And as you continue falling deeper toward the center, one realization becomes impossible to ignore. The closer you get to the heart of Ton 618, the less certain reality becomes. The familiar universe has vanished behind you. The singularity lies ahead. Physics is approaching its limits. And somewhere in the darkness may exist an answer capable of changing everything humanity believes about existence itself. Because if black holes truly create universes, connect realities, or preserve information in ways we do not yet understand, then Ton 618 is not merely one of the largest black holes ever discovered. It may be one of the largest mysteries in the entire cosmos. For most of this journey, we have talked about physics. Gravity. Spacetime. Event horizons. Singularities. Wormholes. Information paradoxes. But now we must ask a different question, a human question. What would you actually experience, not the equations? Not the theories. Your eyes, your thoughts. Your awareness, your final moments inside the largest black hole in the known universe. Because no matter how strange the physics becomes, every journey is ultimately experienced through consciousness. And as you continue falling deeper into Ton 618, consciousness itself becomes part of the mystery. At first, surprisingly little changes. Your mind remains clear. Your thoughts remain normal. You still remember Earth, the stars, the universe you left behind. You can still think, still observe. Still wonder. That may be the most unsettling part of all. You are inside one of the largest black holes ever discovered, and yet you are still yourself. For now, the tidal forces continue increasing. The spacecraft is failing around you. Structural systems collapse, sections of the vessel twist under immense stress, but because Ton 618 is so large, destruction arrives gradually, not instantly. You have time. Time to think about what is happening, time to understand your fate, time to realize that no rescue is possible. Human beings evolved in a world where every danger offered hope. A predator might miss, a storm might pass, a disease might heal. A mistake might be corrected. Ton 618 offers none of those possibilities. There is no survival strategy. No hidden escape. No miracle maneuver. No future technology waiting to save you. For perhaps the first time in your life, certainty becomes absolute. You are falling towards something no human can survive, and yet the journey continues. That psychological realization may be harder than the physical effects. Because awareness persists, you know what is coming, you simply cannot stop it. As the tidal forces strengthen, your body begins experiencing increasing strain. Gravity pulls harder on one part than another. Every cell feels the difference, every organ feels the difference. The stretching grows slowly at first, then faster. The process becomes impossible to ignore. Pain emerges, then intensifies. The body is remarkably resilient. But it was never designed for conditions like these. No organism was. The laws of biology evolved under Earth's gravity, not inside a 60 billion solar mass black hole. And still your mind continues observing, still processing, still experiencing. Then something even stranger happens. The external universe has effectively vanished. No stars, no galaxies, no recognizable sky. Only distorted light and warped geometry remain. You have become completely isolated, more isolated than any human being could ever be. Not merely far from Earth, disconnected from the observable universe itself. Imagine being the last conscious observer in existence. That feeling would still be weaker than true isolation inside ton 618, because not only can nobody reach you, nobody can even know what happens next. Every observation dies with you. Every experience remains trapped. Every thought becomes imprisoned beyond the event horizon. Your consciousness enters territory no signal can ever describe. This is where the journey becomes uniquely terrifying, because science can make predictions, but experience remains unknowable. What does it feel like to approach the deepest regions of a black hole? Nobody knows. Perhaps nobody ever will. And then the physical destruction accelerates. The tidal forces become overwhelming. Your body stretches further. The difference in gravitational pull grows enormous. Matter itself begins losing the battle. Bones fail. Organs fail. Cells fail. The structure holding your body together begins unraveling. Yet even here, physics introduces a disturbing possibility. Your brain may remain functional for a short time, perhaps only seconds, perhaps less, but long enough to perceive what is happening. Long enough to witness the final collapse of the body that carried you through life. Long enough to understand that gravity has become stronger than every force keeping you intact. At this stage, ordinary human experience breaks down. There are no familiar comparisons. No earthly analogies. No language evolved to describe conditions like these. You're approaching a region where nature itself becomes alien, where human intuition ceases to matter. Where reality operates according to rules never encountered in ordinary existence. And somewhere ahead lies the ultimate mystery. The singularity, or whatever truly replaces it, the place where our equations stop, the place where our certainty ends, the place where every theory becomes incomplete. What happens to consciousness there? Nobody knows. Perhaps consciousness ends long before reaching it, perhaps information survives, perhaps awareness becomes impossible, perhaps something stranger occurs. Science has no answer. Not yet, because every path toward that answer disappears behind the event horizon. Every experiment ends before completion, every observer becomes trapped. The universe guards the secret perfectly. And so your final moments inside ton 618 remain suspended between knowledge and mystery. We can calculate the gravity. We can estimate the tidal forces. We can model the geometry, but the subjective experience, the final human experience, remains one of the greatest unknowns in all of science. Because eventually your body will fail. Your spacecraft will fail. Your instruments will fail, but the question remains. What happens to the information that once called itself you? The memories. The experiences, the thoughts, the consciousness. Does it truly vanish, or does the universe preserve it somehow? That question has haunted physicists for decades, and the answer may be hidden not in the event horizon, not in Hawking radiation, not even in the singularity, but in the deepest relationship between information, reality, and existence itself. A relationship humanity has only begun to understand, and whatever the answer may be, it waits ahead in the darkness at the very heart of Ton 618. For most of human history, escape has always been possible. A mountain may be climbed, an ocean may be crossed, a prison may be broken. Even gravity itself can be defeated. Rockets leave Earth every year. Spacecraft escape the solar system. Nothing seems truly inescapable. Then we discovered black holes. And for the first time, nature presented us with something different. Not a difficult prison, not a nearly impossible prison, a perfect prison. A region where escape is not merely unlikely. It is forbidden. Ton 618 represents the ultimate example. A gravitational fortress so immense that it challenges our understanding of what the word escape even means. As you continue falling deeper into the largest known black hole, a question naturally emerges. Could anything get out? Anything at all? SPACECRAFDA signal, a particle, a beam of light? Perhaps some advanced future technology. Perhaps a civilization millions of years beyond our own. The answer appears simple. No, but the deeper physicists investigate, the stranger that answer becomes. To understand why, imagine standing beside a planet. Throw a ball upward. If it moves fast enough, it escapes, not because gravity disappears, because its velocity exceeds the escape velocity. Every object in the universe has one. Earth's escape velocity is about 11 kilometers per second. Powerful, yet achievable. A rocket can do it. Now imagine increasing gravity. The escape velocity rises. Faster. And faster. And faster. Eventually it reaches something extraordinary. The speed of light, approximately 300,000 kilometers per second. At that point, even light cannot escape, and if light cannot escape, nothing else can either, because according to modern physics, nothing travels faster than light. This is the birth of a black hole. The moment escape velocity exceeds the ultimate speed limit of reality, Ton 618 pushes this concept to unimaginable extremes. Its gravity is not merely strong. It reshapes the very structure of SPACETIME. Inside the event horizon, escape stops being a question of speed. This is important. Many people imagine that escaping a black hole simply requires moving faster. A stronger engine, a more advanced spacecraft, a better technology. Reality is much stranger. Inside the event horizon, there is no outward direction that leads to freedom. Spacetime itself bends inward. Every future path points toward the center. The problem is not insufficient speed. The problem is geometry. Imagine standing inside a river flowing toward a waterfall. The current grows stronger and stronger. Eventually, it exceeds your maximum swimming speed. Now imagine something even worse. Imagine the river itself becomes reality. Every direction you try to swim ultimately carries you toward the waterfall. No matter what you do. No matter how powerful you are. No matter how advanced your technology becomes. That is the situation inside Ton 618. The black hole does not trap you through force alone. It traps you through the structure of spacetime itself. Even light becomes a prisoner, and that fact creates one of the most remarkable consequences in physics. Information appears trapped as well. Everything that falls inside carries information. Every atom. Every photon. Every memory. Every event. Everything. Once the event horizon is crossed, that information seems lost forever. This is why black holes terrified physicists. Not because they destroy matter, because they appear to destroy information. And information is sacred in modern physics. Quantum mechanics insists it cannot disappear. Yet black holes seem to do exactly that. This contradiction created decades of debate. And the deeper scientists investigated, the more complicated the story became. Stephen Hawking's discovery changed everything. Black holes emit radiation. Slowly. Almost imperceptibly. But they radiate. This means black holes are not completely sealed systems. They interact with the outside universe. And that raises an extraordinary possibility. Perhaps information is not trapped forever. Perhaps it leaks out. Not obviously. not in a readable form but encoded within Hawking radiation itself. Imagine taking a book, shredding every page, burning the pieces, mixing the ashes into a hurricane. The information becomes nearly impossible to recover. Yet, in principle, it still exists. Many modern theories suggest black holes behave similarly. Information survives. But in an unimaginably scrambled form, the black hole becomes less like a prison and more like a cosmic encryption machine. The message remains, the meaning becomes inaccessible, at least temporarily. Then came an even stranger idea, quantum entanglement. One of the weirdest phenomena in science, particles separated by enormous distances can remain connected in subtle ways. Changes in one influence the description of the other. This connection does not allow communication faster than light, but it reveals something profound. Reality may be more interconnected than we realize. Some modern theories suggest black holes exploit these hidden connections. The event horizon may store information. The interior may remain linked to the exterior through quantum structures we do not yet fully understand. Perhaps information never truly becomes trapped, perhaps it only appears trapped. This possibility has transformed black hole research because, if true, escape may not be the right question. Perhaps nothing physically escapes, yet information survives. The distinction matters. Matter may die. Information may persist. And in modern physics, information may be more fundamental than matter itself, yet even if information survives, one fact remains unchanged. For you, the traveler inside Ton 618, escape remains impossible. No engine. No technology. No civilization. No miracle. The event horizon has rewritten your future. Every road leads inward. Every possibility leads deeper. The black hole has become your universe, and somewhere beyond the reach of observation lies the singularity, or whatever replaces it, the final mystery, the final destination, the place where every path inside Ton 618 ultimately ends, and yet there is one final question left to answer. A question larger than gravity. Larger than singularities, larger than black holes themselves. After everything we've seen. After crossing the accretion disk. After watching time distort. After entering the event horizon. After confronting the information paradox. After approaching the deepest mysteries of physics. What does Ton 618 ultimately teach us about the universe? Because perhaps the greatest mystery is not what happens inside the black hole. Perhaps the greatest mystery is why objects like TON 618 exist at all. At the beginning of this journey, the question seems simple. What would happen if you fell into the largest black hole in the universe? A straightforward thought experiment, a fascinating cosmic adventure, a chance to explore one of nature's most extreme creations. But now, after crossing the accretion disk. After watching time slow. After entering the event horizon. After descending toward the singularity. After confronting the information paradox. The question feels very different because the journey was never really about falling into Ton 618. The journey was about discovering how little we truly understand. Ton 618 is not merely a black hole. It is a mirror reflecting the limits of human knowledge. Every great scientific mystery eventually leads us there. To the edge of what we know, to the border between understanding and ignorance, and few objects reveal that border more clearly than this colossal monster. Think about what we have learned. A black hole 60 billion times more massive than the Sun. An event horizon larger than entire planetary systems. A gravitational field capable of warping time itself, a region where light cannot escape, a place where our best theories stop agreeing with one another, and yet Ton 618 is only one object, one black hole among countless others scattered throughout the cosmos. That realization alone is staggering. Because if a single object can challenge our understanding this profoundly, what other mysteries remain hidden across the universe? What else waits beyond our current horizon? What else exists in the darkness? Between galaxies, the deeper scientists investigate black holes, the more they begin appearing not as endpoints but as questions. Questions written into spacetime itself. What happens to information? What happens to consciousness? What happens at the singularity? What happens when gravity and quantum mechanics collide? Why does the universe permit structures like Ton 618 to exist at all? And perhaps the biggest question of all, why does reality seem so determined to hide its deepest secrets? Every time humanity develops a better telescope, the universe reveals something stranger. Every time we think we understand the rules, nature shows us another exception, another mystery, another impossible object, another cosmic puzzle waiting to be solved. Ton 618 may be one of the greatest examples of that pattern because this black hole should almost feel fictional. If someone described it before its discovery, many scientists might have doubted such an object could exist. A black hole weighing 60 billion suns, a monster whose event horizon could swallow our entire solar system, a monster visible across billions of light years because of the unimaginable energy surrounding it. Yet it is real. Right now. At this very moment, while you sit here listening to this story, Ton 618 continues existing in the darkness. Matter continues falling inward. Gravity continues shaping spacetime. Light continues struggling to escape from the blazing quasar surrounding it. The monster continues feeding, continues growing, continues waiting, and perhaps that is one of the most humbling ideas in all of astronomy because human beings naturally place themselves at the center of their stories. Our lives feel important. Our problems feel enormous. Our history feels significant, yet compared to Ton 618, entire civilizations become brief moments. The Roman Empire. Ancient Egypt. The Industrial Revolution. The Digital Age. All of them combined occupy less than an instant compared to the lifespan of this black hole. Even humanity itself becomes a tiny flicker, a brief flash of awareness in a universe billions of years old, and still, despite our smallness, we ask questions that may be our greatest strength, not our technology. Not our intelligence. Not our power. Our curiosity. The willingness to look into an abyss billions of light years away and ask, what is that? How does it work? What does it mean? That curiosity brought us from caves to telescopes, from myths to mathematics, from staring at stars to photographing black holes. And perhaps one day it will bring us even further. Perhaps future generations will finally solve the mysteries surrounding Ton 618. Perhaps they will understand singularities, perhaps they will unify quantum mechanics and gravity, perhaps they will discover whether information truly survives. Perhaps they will learn whether black holes create universes, perhaps they will uncover truths that currently seem impossible. Or perhaps the reality will be stranger than anything we have imagined. History suggests that is often the case. Again and again, the universe exceeds expectations. Again and again, reality proves more creative than human imagination. Black holes are a perfect example, once considered mathematical curiosities, then impossible objects, then theoretical predictions, now they are accepted parts of the cosmos. Who knows what tomorrow's impossible idea will become? And perhaps that is the true lesson of Ton 618. Not fear. Not destruction. Not darkness. Wonder. Because hidden within this gigantic abyss is a reminder that the universe remains unfinished. Not unfinished in reality, unfinished in our understanding. There are chapters we have not read, questions we have not answered, mysteries we have not solved. Ton 618 stands as one of those mysteries, a silent monument to the unknown, a colossal shadow stretching across our understanding of physics, a place where time bends. Where light fails, where certainty ends, and somewhere beyond that event horizon, hidden forever from direct observation, lies an answer. Maybe many answers to questions humanity has been asking for generations, answers to questions we have not even discovered yet. For now, however, the black hole keeps its secrets. Silent. Patient. Untouched by human curiosity, untouched by human ambition. Untouched by human imagination, waiting in the darkness 10 billion light-years away, waiting as galaxies drift, waiting as stars die, waiting as civilizations rise and fall, waiting as the universe itself slowly changes around it, and perhaps one day, far in the future, humanity will finally understand what truly lies at the heart of Ton 618. But until that day arrives, the largest known black hole in the universe remains exactly what it has always been, one of the greatest mysteries ever discovered, a reminder of how far we have come, and a reminder of how much farther we still have to go. Because in the end, the most extraordinary thing about Ton 618 is not its size, not its gravity, not its darkness, not even the possibility of what lies inside. The most extraordinary thing is that it reminds us there are still places in the universe where knowledge ends and mystery begins. And beyond that boundary, the cosmos is still waiting.